Chiefs Kingdom. It's time for All Chiefed Up with your hosts, Steve and Mike Williams. From the Bluegrass to the Red Sea, this is the Kingdoms Podcast.
Absolutely. So let's move on to round 4, pick 30. The Chiefs selected Joshua Williams, cornerback from Fayetteville State. To me, Mike, this is where they kind of fell off the wagon just a little bit. This might be the pick that affected the draft the most as a whole for the Chiefs. So what did you think about it?
So again, Brett Veach was, so everybody said, hey, all chiefed up don't think they're going to take a corner in round 1. And we thought at 29 or 30, we wouldn't take a corner. We didn't see the value. We've talked about that. McDuffie had value. They went and got him. And here we decided to invest more early. And I consider pick 135 to be kind of an early pick. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it was early enough to where I thought you don't take project players. And it may be wrong to call Joshua Williams a project player, but coming out of Fayetteville State, and he's got good size, he's got good speed, he's got all the intangibles. He came to the end of the season, the All-Star games, if you will, and he held his own pretty well. But I graded it a B. I thought that it wasn't the worst pick, but yes, we could have maybe went in a different direction. But for the talent, maybe his possible upside, I could see him maybe doing a little Charvarius Ward. I actually, comped him to James Bradbury. We had spoke about that on the YouTube channel. He's got the intangibles. So, I did say that we would take him. He seemed like a pick. I actually called that pick. I called it for the 7th round, one of the 7th round picks. Right. But we've seen in this draft what we've been seeing, a run on maybe even a reach on certain guys, but as long as they were fitting that over 6 foot corner, that 6'1", 6'2" corner, those are becoming a premium. And so I think Veach took his chance to go get a guy that has, I think his RAS was, his RAS score was like upper 9s. Like, I think I could be wrong about that, but he had a pretty high RAS score. And I just think we're trying to get younger. We had to fill, Mike Hughes probably ain't coming back. We lost Ward. I think that, again, Veach was investing in the DBs. And going back to what I was saying earlier, we never said that Veach wouldn't invest in DBs or wouldn't invest in a position. We just said that Veach likes to do it at the end of the draft. So we were wrong about McDuffie, I guess. He went ahead and took his shot to get him in the first, but this was about the time where I thought he would start investing in corner. And I guess that's why I didn't rate it so bad, because yes, we already got a corner, but this was the time that I feel like Veach starts hitting his sweet spot on finding talent that others miss. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here and say that hopefully Joshua Williams can contribute, probably not day one. That's a tough transition to go from Fayetteville to the NFL, but I'd say 2 to 3 years, we'll see what Josh Williams really is going to look like in the NFL. So it's going to be one where we're going to have to be patient with it.
Yeah. So like I said, I feel like this is where he kind of missed the mark. I did give it a C+ grade. I like what Josh Williams has to offer. He has good speed and length, which is a winning combo for a corner. Great athlete, all of that. But I did say that Brian Cook was a pretty big reach for me, but not to this extent. Like, I feel like this is by far the biggest reach of the draft for Brett Veach. I'm very confident that he would have been there in the 5th round, like almost 100% confident he would have been there in the 5th round. And I'm not so sure that he wouldn't have been there in the 6th or 7th round as well. But we'll get more into how I think this negatively affected the rest of the draft later on when we wrap this up. But the player's not bad. I'm excited to see what he does once he gets in there. Because right now, all I have really to go off of is a lot of tape with him playing in inferior competition, and there's not really much to go on. So we can go ahead and move to the next pick now. It was round 5. I actually traded up in round 5 and took the Seattle Seahawks pick at pick 2 in round 5 and grabbed DARIAN KINNARD. And I absolutely love this pick. Mike, you go ahead and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, so we traded up. I don't know how many spots we moved, but we ended up giving up our number 233 in the 7th, which is fine because taking Kinnard, I think Kinnard, we all thought he was kind of going to go earlier. I think we've had even maybe round 2 on him sometimes, like, but a definite round 3 guy we was thinking, and here he was sitting in round 5, pick 145. I had to give it a B plus. I'm sure Steve rates it a little higher. He actually loves Kinnard like a lot, but I think a B plus is fair. The only reason I don't give it an A is because maybe he has some conditioning issues. Maybe, I'm not for sure. They said maybe he has to kick down to guard. They don't know if he can play tackle. All this stuff we're going to have to see. I personally think he'll be fine. I think he's going to come in with motivation for getting passed up. He is a ruthless, a mean blocker. Like, he wants to hit you. He wants to hurt you when he blocks. Like, this guy is everything that you should want in a lineman. And he's mean, he's gritty. He will go, he will make something happen. And I wrote in the article, not the Chiefs, Kentucky fans. We live in Kentucky. We watch this guy week in, week out. Kentucky was not a relevant football school. Like, we had lost everything. And this guy and some of this, these new recruits were the ones that started to put Kentucky football back into the conversation. Like, we're still not up there with Alabama and Auburn, but the point is we're on the rise a little bit. And it's because of guys like Kinnard that, decided to come here and help build. And that shows his character even. And he played big competition and he held his own a lot. You can watch film of him playing Alabama. You can watch film of him playing Georgia. He holds his own. Like, don't get me wrong, he wasn't perfect, but he holds his own. And with us, he may not be the athletic guy that you always see us try to get, like the slimmer athletic tackles. But I mean, we kind of changed course with Orlando Brown and they said he wouldn't fit either. But that kind of, before I let Steve grade, I'll ask him a question here. Do you think that if Kinnard takes over, we've talked about a shift on the defense where we're trying to get meaner and we're trying to hit you and we're trying to be a feared defense, like not just a serviceable defense that keeps us in games and lets our offense win. We're trying to shut you out now. Like, we're trying to blow you off the field at this point. But are we shifting with the Kinnard pick if he gets the right tackle position along with Orlando Brown and Tooney and Creed, Trey Smith? We're instantly a top 3 line easily. And are we shifting styles on offense a bit too? Like, are we maybe trying to use like a little bit of road grader? We're going to run the ball down your throat a little bit now as well.
I think that we will run the ball a little bit more than we have. I think we're going to eliminate some of the RPOs and everything and just run the ball probably more than you'd expect. But it's also an Andy Reid team, and that's not going to be the focal point. But I do think that's a possibility. I do see a shift in the attitude on the offensive line because between Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith that we got in last year's draft and Kinnard, they all play mean, man. They finish plays, and I love it. So with my grade on Darian Kinnard, I actually gave it an A plus, I believe. Let me take a gander. No, I gave it an A.
Just an A.
So
yep.
I gave it an A, and the reason I gave it an A is because I valued the offensive tackle in this draft, probably more so than a lot of Chiefs fans and a lot of analysts did. I felt like, we're one little puzzle piece away from having the best offensive line in football. And Lucas Yang was the weak link, right? I'm sorry, he just is. He's injury prone. He even set out for COVID. And when he's been in there, he hasn't, jumped off the tape. He doesn't, he's not doing anything crazy. So I feel like he's obviously the weakest link. I really, in my mock draft, I actually had the Chiefs sitting at 29 and Penning falling, and we jumped on it, right? So if there's anybody that plays a lot like Penning, it's Kinnard. Like he's that guy that will finish a play and he will rough you up and he will make you just regret being there that day. And I love that about him. And like Mike said, a lot of people think that they're gonna have to kick him inside the guard and things like that. I just don't see it with him. He's like 6'5", 325, and he is strong, man. Like I've said it a million times, but he's an oak tree over there at tackle, and no one's moving him. No one's overpowering him. And I think that's going to translate well to the league. He does get some knocks saying that he needs to work on his pass protection, that he's mainly just, a great run blocker, but there's some to be desired on the pass protection. I don't think that it's enough to worry. I think once he gets in there with Andy Heck and a little bit learns how the game's going and works on some technique and some footwork and things like that, I think he's going to take Lucas Niang's job fairly easily, and I think he's going to be very successful. Absolutely love this pick. Great value. Like Mike said, could be the best value in the draft because he was definitely, I was thinking a late second round to third rounder, and we got him right here in the fifth. So
I got a question really quick. You mentioned Niang. You think he'll take his job. This may be completely unfair for me, but I'm not a big fan of Lucas Niang. I felt like, and this may offend people. This may, start a riot. YouTube
we
may
don't
pull
care.
it off. Who knows?
We don't care.
But when Lucas Niang decided to sit for COVID, and not another player on our team did, except for
Damian Williams
and
Tardif.
Tardif actually did something positive, though. He went to Canada, his home, and he helped. And I took it as Niang kind of just took a year off just to take a year off. Like, to me, that spoke to his mentality of like, he don't even really want to play. He's kind of weak. He's soft. That's the way I took it. He abandoned his team to and use COVID as an excuse. That's how I see it. That's how I've seen it. And he's never impressed me on the field. And to be honest, Kinnard from day one, I think is tougher. I think he has more balls. I think he's meaner. And I think he will do a better job as an offensive lineman than Niang's ever thought about doing.
I
Like,
think
is
so
that
too.
wrong of me?
No, I don't. I think it's fair to question Lucas Niang setting out for the COVID year, and it's not so much that like we're down on him because obviously there's a pandemic and there's a lot of risk involved. No one really knew what was going on or what this thing was and everything like that. So, I mean, I understand it to a certain degree, but at the same time, like that was his most critical year as a football player in his lifetime, and he didn't step up to the plate. He cowered to the back, and granted that, like I said, and Mike said, that might not be a fair assessment because of what was going on and the magnitude of what was going on. But I'm sorry, it does come off that way. Like you think that he would have been willing to, get out there and do
Dude,
the thing.
I felt like if I was his teammate, I would have felt a little let down that he was, in a sense, you could say scared. But I mean, like you said, we really didn't know a lot. But I mean, come on. This guy is a prime athlete as a young kid. And we already seen that, like, it's just one of those things. I don't want to start talking about COVID. I don't want to get flagged or get the video pulled down. But I mean, I felt like he just abandoned the team at, like you said, a very critical point in his career where he was brought in to do something and to get better. And now he's behind. Now his injuries are catching up to him again. And he may have squandered his entire chance to be
Right.
a successful NFL player.
I think he was just kind of a luxury pick anyway, when you really think about it. I think that he fell some in the draft. I don't remember why. I think it was his medicals, but he actually fell some in the draft, and Veach thought he was, you know, I can't remember what round he thought he was going to go in, but either way, Veach thought he was getting good value with Lucas Niang, and that's the only reason he was taken. So, I mean, I think Kinnard's going to take his job. Let's move on. This started round 7, pick 22 in round 7, actually. Jalen Watson, cornerback from Washington State. So another part in the draft that I just thought this was just getting stale. Like, I understand that we had some holes in the defense. I understand we needed to fill up the cornerback room, but I mean, we did have DeAndre Baker. We already drafted McDuffie, and I mean, I'm not sure why he went ahead and took another cornerback here. I'm just really not. Like, how many small school corners do we need on the roster? I even wrote that in my article. And here's the thing, like, I know they're just competing for a job basically in the 7th round. We know this. Just kind of, throwing darts, basically hoping they catch somebody. They're just going to compete for a job to try to make the team. And that's cool. That's great and everything. But like, Brett Veach takes pride in hitting on corners. Like that's always like one of the things people bring up when you start talking about Brett Veach drafts is he's got a knack for catching corners late. And after I noticed uh, how many he was taking and how many DBs he was taking, it's like maybe he's not that great at hitting the corners. Maybe he just does it by volume. Like, I mean, if I pick that many corners too, I might hit one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well, what did
I
you
mean,
grade him?
I gave it a D.
Okay.
I think that they just got tunnel vision and could not get out of the defensive backfield. And I think they passed over a lot of good talent. I would have loved to have seen them invest in another wide receiver there. I know that we have Corey Coleman and Josh Gordon and some of those guys still hanging out on the roster, and Fountain and Kemp. But I think it would have been smart right there to go ahead and look at a Samori Torre, like you were saying, or even Bo Melton, I think was still available at the time. And I know Reggie Roberson, he ended up not getting drafted. There was some guys that have some potential. I feel like we just passed it up and we're like, hey, let's take another defensive back. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I feel like I actually said it in the article. I actually feel like we were just we value that position so high that out of the 195 positions we graded, I feel like 100 of them were nothing but defensive backs. And so
Right.
when we got late, they just, of course, there was going to be a defensive back as the highest on their board. That's all they graded. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So I gave him a C plus. I mean, he is a small school kid. He didn't have a lot of competition. He went to the Pac-12. I don't care what. I mean, I could be offending people now, but the Pac-12 is not that great a competition. Don't get me wrong. That's where McDuffie played, but McDuffie is, this isn't even comparable.
It's a different kind of athlete right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not comparable. He went to the Senior Bowl and he done okay. I mean, he wasn't great, but he held his own. He's got good size and weight. We actually had discussed on Twitter with some people that maybe, hey, they're going to push him back to safety. Well, as you'll see in a minute, we drafted yet another safety. So I guess that's not in the cards. So
Right.
we don't really know what the infatuation was, if we could say that, with the DBs. I mean, I know we need a lot of DBs, but I mean, at this point, you got to think all these rookie guys, these are hard positions to translate over at the NFL level. And it's like, if you think all these DBs are going to be on our roster at the end of camp, you're probably mistaken, because I don't see it happening. And Watson may be one of those guys that kind of fall off, maybe even to the practice squad or something, but we'll see, man. Veach gets lucky sometimes. So.
There is such thing as overkill, though, and I feel like that's what happened here. Let's move on to the best pick of the 7th round, one that I'm excited about, and that's Isaiah Pacheco from Rutgers.
Love Pacheco.
Dude, so if you noticed, I was big on getting a good offensive tackle in this draft. DARIAN, KINNARD, check mark, cool. The only other thing that a lot of people didn't agree with me on is we need to go ahead and grab another running back, because we haven't signed back Jerick McKinnon yet. And our room right now is just Clyde, who's injury prone, Rojo, who we're going to see how he works out with Kansas City. And then we got Derek Gore. So we need one more guy in there because we're not getting Williams back, and we haven't signed back McKinnon. So I was big on taking one. I really, really wanted James Cook. But he actually ended up going a lot higher than we thought he would to Buffalo, which is very depressing because I think he's the real deal, and Buffalo's got him now, and they got a little weapon. But moving on, though, we didn't get Cook. I even wrote that in my article. It's not the guy I wanted necessarily at the running back position, but with the value we got on this guy, I love Isaiah Pacheco. Like, I think he's great. What about you?
Yeah, I rated him an A+. Speaking
Me
of
too.
James,
I did too.
Yeah. So speaking of James Cook, I mean, Pacheco's kind of just a bigger version of James Cook in a way. The competition level maybe wasn't as big at Rutgers as it was in the SEC playing with Georgia, but Pacheco may be the best pass catching back out of this whole class. Like, that's what he loves to do. He's very high character. He's very smart. James Cook. I think, but yeah, I think Pacheco, he checks all your boxes. You feel that Andy Reid looks for in a running back. I think Pacheco does it. And I wrote it like we've wore the Kareem Hunt aspect out or whatever, but I actually I'd comped Pacheco to a different player. And if you watch his film, you may see what I see. No, I comped him to Adrian Peterson, his running style. He
Okay.
runs with high knees, and he's speedy. He's faster than Adrian Peterson is. But the way he hits the hole on his third step, fourth step, man, there's something about him. He looks good. And I believe you're going to start hearing a buzz about Pacheco. And I mean, let's be honest,
He'll make the
with the
team.
way with the way
Easy.
Clyde is injured
Yep.
all the time, this dude may end up starting a game before the year's over.
Hey, he's going to make the team. And with Pacheco, like I actually comped him to Darren Sproles. He's just fast, man. He's what he run a 4.3 at the.
Hey, if you take our comps and you get a Darren Sproles / Adrian Peterson and we hit, this kid could be a monster.
Well, I mean, it's another high character guy, good work ethic. Like he wants, he's very loyal too. Like he actually stayed and played at Rutgers just because it was his home. And I mean, he had opportunities to go other places. But his backstory, as I wrote in the article on allchiefedup.com, it's heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time. Like right there when he was in high school, his brother was murdered. A year later, his sister was murdered, and he dealt with a lot of crap, man. And he, I mean, he used it all to bottle up and put it into football. And he says he plays for them. And I mean, dude has a purpose, and you can tell, like he plays to win. So I just love his attitude, and I love
Dude,
the way he plays, man.
I love the pick. It's right up there. Like if I had a tier of like my favorite picks, him and Leo are like right here, neck and neck. And actually, Karlaftis is right there too. I love Karlaftis' backstory. These are just good, high quality, high character kids that love the game, and I think that was a theme,
Yeah.
like with our draft this year. So moving on, final pick, round 7, pick 38. We took Najee Johnson, safety from Marshall. I'll go ahead and just start. I'm going to be very brief.
Okay.
I graded him a C minus, and I used the word excessive. I feel like Brett Veach just got to a pigeonholed DB safety, and it just got excessive at this point. Like
Right.
I had tweeted that I thought maybe we were looking to get Samari Toure here possibly, and we thought we could do it. And then when it didn't hit, we just took the best on our board, and it just so happened to be another safety. I watched film. The dude is fast. He hits hard. But again, I don't know if you're getting anything better than Armani Watts, and you know that Armani Watts can play. Will this guy be a special team guy? I don't see him making the team as just an all-out safety. He's not going to beat Cook. He ain't beating Reed out. He probably don't beat Juan Thornhill. He's nothing more than a body that could possibly develop. We'll see. But I feel like kind of they just took the pick to take the pick, get it over with, and they said, hey, we're just going to reach out and the undrafted free agency guy and go get somebody, like, because I felt like we could have doubled up on edge at some point. We didn't. I felt like we could have doubled that wide receiver. We could have doubled up on linebacker even if we needed to.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the wrap
yeah,
up.
so that's what I think. So I graded him a C minus. I was being kind of generous.
Okay, I graded it a D. I mean, I fully understand that the 7th round is a complete crapshoot. You're throwing darts. And I even wrote in the article, like, you could basically pick anything except a safety, or actually you could have picked a safety and still got a C, but there's only one. But I could have rated anything a C here probably. I don't think you get any worse than a C because you're just kind of throwing darts in the 7th round. But when you take a safety and you didn't even get the right safety, like you're getting a D. Because I feel like if you're gonna go safety here, Yusuf Corker, I understand he's another Kentucky guy, but he was still on the board. And Yusuf Corker is one of those guys that's always in the right place at the right time. He always makes big plays when they're needed, and he's just overall better than this guy. And you missed on that. So I just don't understand it. I feel like complete overkill on the DBs.
Hey,
And
we had talked earlier. Smoke Monday from Auburn was still on the
yeah,
board. Like,
yeah,
doesn't the SEC, like, you're a starter for an SEC defense and you have a job and you're producing, doesn't it seem like those guys would get a little higher priority than like a kid from Marshall? I mean,
no,
they have to see something they love in them. So I'll give
yeah.
them that. They stuck to their guns, I guess.
Right. So, well, overall, so I graded the draft overall an A minus, and you did as well, correct?
Yes, A minus.
Okay, so here's what I'm seeing, and here's why I graded A minus. I know a lot of people's giving Brett Veach and the Chiefs an A plus, like even a lot of the big analysts on TV and everything like that. ESPN, A plus, A plus, A plus, hand out A pluses. It's an A minus draft, and the reason why I gave it A minus is because it is a really great draft. I think he checked a lot of boxes, got a lot of good value. I cannot give him an A plus though, because if I can look at this draft and tell you how he could have done it better, and I'm not just saying that that's his opinion. I really think that it's almost borderline fact that it could have been better. Uh, I can't give him an A plus. And let me tell you where I'm going with this, Mike. So way back in round 2, he took um, Brian Cook. Brian Cook could have waited until pick was it 103, I
Yeah.
believe. He could have waited. He would have still been on the board. If he would have took Brian Cook right there, he could have doubled up on edge rusher with Nick Benito. And instead, he takes Brian Cook. He reaches on him by a whole round, and then Benito goes next. Was it like the next pick or the pick after that?
Yeah, it was
to
very
Denver.
soon.
So we lost the most productive edge rusher in college football to a rival, an in-conference team. Absolutely disgusting.
And again, we always see people on Twitter. Benito is not the edge they want. He doesn't set the edge. He's whatever. But look, you all said that about Von Miller, and this year y'all was willing to overpay him. So
exactly,
quit with that. Like,
and when
stop.
if Benito becomes another Von Miller, you're going to regret it. And the thing about it is, I mean, we didn't even double up on edge rusher, which is weird. We needed edge rusher bad. We only ended up with Karlaftis. I say only like it's a bad thing. Karlaftis is great, fantastic, big win there. But we could have afforded to take another one, and right there we could have got Nick Benito, and then we could have picked up Cook right there at pick 103. And then also another thing I thought Veach did that was kind of strange to me was he took Joshua Williams in round 4. And then he turned around and traded up in round 5 to grab DARIAN KINNARD. So in my head, I'm looking at Joshua Williams, who I think was a 6th or 7th round player. That's the biggest reach for the Chiefs in this draft, was taking him in the 4th. Why would you not just take KINNARD in the 4th and then turn around and grab Williams in the 5th, and you wouldn't have had to lose any more picks?
Yeah.
So see, that was confusing to me as well.
So the only thing I can say about the reaching on the picks is Cook and Williams. Maybe on big boards they were higher than us. I mean, we can't be so arrogant to think that our big board is fact.
Right. I understand that, but I mean,
but what about this? What if Cook, we have him at 115 on our big board? I think that was fair. Brett Veach and them obviously had them at 60s, maybe even higher. They took them at 60 something.
62.
Yeah. So what if you would have pulled the same deal you pulled, with Sky Moore, traded back 5-10 picks and got you another late pick, kind of like we took with KINNARD, and you still take Cook? It don't seem so bad at that point. Like, why was he valuing Cook so much that he could not move back a few picks? Like, he was that scared Cook was going to go like any second. Like, right. So they really valued him. I don't understand it fully, but it's very obvious they valued Brian Cook really high.
Yeah, I'm sure they have their reasons, but in my mind and Steve's head, I think this could have flipped from an A minus to an A plus if you would have just took Nick Benito in the 2nd round and then grabbed Brian Cook in the 3rd round. And then also, if you would have just took KINNARD in the 4th and waited on Josh Williams, you could have still grabbed him later, not lost any picks. And then in the 7th round, love the Pacheco pick. I think that was a killer pick. But the rest of them, I feel like you let a lot of talent go just to be grabbing 25 DBs.
Yeah, Pacheco in the 7th. I would have been fine taking Pacheco in the 4th or the 5th. Like, that's how high I was on Pacheco. I actually mocked him to Kansas City a long time ago. I tried to find the mock draft. I couldn't find it. I'm going to find it, though. I think I maybe sent it to you or Pops one. So it might be in there somewhere. I've had him on there. So I've been a Pacheco fan. Where I don't like it is the 7th round, taking those just the excessive amount of DBs when you could have took Torrey with the Watson pick, and you could have at least got you another weapon to add to the wide receiver room. You could have took Pacheco completely fine. With your last pick, you could have taken another edge, or maybe you take Kellen Dyche didn't even get picked. The kid from Arizona State, like that tackle. So, I mean, I love KINNARD, but what if in the 5th you would have got you another backup edge rusher and then took Kellen Dyche down in the 7th? I mean, we wouldn't have had KINNARD, which we think's better than Dyche, but still,
you could have still done that. I mean, there's so many ways,
right?
that he could have still had KINNARD.
Yeah, that's a scenario though that we're playing out, and it's like there was room for improvement. Great job by Brett Veach. I think what he did in round 1, 29 and 30, and then getting those 2 players was masterful.
Yeah,
Chanel, amazing. Like he really did a good job, but you can't just say no, it's perfect. Like there's always room for improvement, and we're just throwing out scenarios on what maybe could have happened. Again, we could be completely wrong. If we would have traded down with Brian Cook and been like, hey, we'll get him at 115, he could have went pick 63. Who knows? Like we don't know.
Exactly.
So it is.
But I mean, just because we see ways that we think it could have been better and been an A+ draft, A- is a killer draft. Brett Veach killed it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see where this team's heading. I think that it's a good thing. All I know is the rest of the league and their fan bases are absolutely beside themselves right now because the Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill and got better, and that's a scary thing. So,
yeah, and most talking heads and stuff are giving us the 3rd highest rated draft, only below the Ravens and the Jets. And to be honest, the Jets had 2 top 10 picks.
Right?
How can you screw? And
they traded the Jets.
They traded back into the 1st and got a 3rd.
Yeah, so, you can't. Do you even put them in the equation?
No,
it's like, okay, if you get 3 first-round picks, of course you're going to have one of the best drafts.
And then the Ravens are okay, but still, they did not work the draft board like Veach had to do. They literally just sit there and got Kyle Hamilton to fall to them. They literally just sit there and got Travis Jones to fall.
But you know what?
So they really didn't do nothing special, to be honest.
The one thing that they did better was they didn't reach on anything. They sit and waited for it, and it worked out for them. Because I would probably give them an A- to an A on theirs too. So I mean, they're either just as good as Veach or a better draft than what he had, in my opinion. Because I mean, they got some dogs, man. They got some good players.
They did, but I still feel like there's a reason Travis Jones fell where he did. We know why Jabo fell. But honestly,
but I mean, he's going to come back next year and be a beast, man.
Before we wrap this up, do you think we would have took a Jabo at 50 and not traded down, or do you think we were still going to take Sky Moore? I honestly think we would have still took Sky Moore.
I think we're going to take Sky Moore, but I do think that there was another receiver right there close to Sky Moore on his board that gave him confidence to go ahead and trade down. I think he was taking that risk on Sky Moore going. I don't know if maybe he thought it was, well, if Sky Moore goes off the board, then we take Pickens, or if Pickens goes, we take Sky Moore. But I still think there was another one in the mix, and I don't know who it was, and I haven't looked into it. I haven't thought about it.
I thought you had an idea. Do you think maybe it was David Bell?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't know. I would have to really look into it. I haven't looked at it and seen how everything played out to give you a good answer here. But I do think
Tyquan Thornton.
No, I do think there was another one in that mix right there.
You could be right.
I will give you that answer later.
Okay, but, that's a good one. But yeah, that was the good episode. We covered the draft. We're drafted out. I'm sure you guys are drafted out.
The draft, for all intents and purposes, is over. All chiefed up.
Yeah.
Gave it an A-, and it's a wrap, bro. I'm so over this draft.
We're gonna move on. Yeah. We're gonna start moving on. But this was a nice big wrap up. We hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. We'll be back on Friday, but we appreciate you sticking around for this long episode. But hey, man, it was good to dig in and see what Veach could have done, what he did. And I think the A- is fair, dude. So you got any last words, Steve, before we get out of here?
Absolutely. A- is totally fair. Put a bow on this thing. Give it to Chiefs Kingdom. It's going to be good. Just subscribe here on YouTube. Go ahead and hit the bell that we get notifications when we come out new stuff, and check out the podcast. We have new episodes every Monday and Friday on all major streaming platforms. So whichever one you use, be sure to listen. Give us a 5-star review, and that's all I got for you. Appreciate you joining us for the whole draft experience and hanging in with us.
Yeah, man, it's been fun, but it's been real too, but it's not been real fun. So we're going to end it with that. You guys have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to All Chiefed Up. Be sure to subscribe and follow on all social media at All Chiefed Up.